Okay, so we are at our computer here, and we're sitting down. We have our research question. We're about to start our research, and we've got our keywords. Like, we are good to go. How do we do it? Well, let's do it. You log into Blackboard. You're on this main screen. You haven't yet decided which class you're going to. Well, that's okay. You don't have to. If you scroll down, and on the right, you'll see Gwinnett Tech Library and Galileo. Boom. We click that. All right, that pulls us up to our library page. Fabulous. Very cool. Now, best place to go to start our research is this fun little Galileo tab. Now, if you're on campus, you shouldn't have to log in. If you are at home accessing from non-GTC Wi-Fi, then you just log in using your student account information. Okay? Now, this is the screen that pops up. We have this bento search selected. I'm going to recommend that we don't do that. Okay, go back to classic search. Sometimes the original way really just is better, and this is a little bit easier to explain and manage. Okay, so we are going to type in some of the keywords that we determined from our research question. So, for example, right, we had Beowulf, and we had Grendel's mother, in quotation marks, right? Because we want it to be one term. I don't want to find the word Grendel and the word mother in the same source. That's not going to be helpful unless they're right next to each other. So that's why we do that. Grendel's mother, and let's type gender. Just get an idea. 3 keywords max, I would say. Any more than that, and your pool is gonna just shrink. We might see a very small pool as it is. So let's see here. Boom. Search. What do we find? 684 sources. Well, we're not there yet, because as we scroll down, we want to go to this limit to box. Boom. Limit to full text. A source isn't going to help us unless we can read it. And limit to scholarly peer-reviewed journals. Okay? Now, we want to look here and see what we have. Okay, let's see. Wealthy Hours, Peace Weaving. This is about a different character, so it's not really going to help us. Let's go down to that next one, Beowulf's Poetics of Absorption, Narrative Syntax, and the Illusion of Stability in the Fight with Grendel's Mother. Interesting. Okay, let's see. Let's click it, right, because this only gives us like a sentence and a half. Let's click and see what we've got going on here. All right, so this article re-examines Beowulf's formal elements to position the poem's audience, particularly in relation to action and time. Interesting. Topics discussed include absorption, denial, dynamic, exemplified by lay of the land. Okay, so this doesn't really seem to work, right? This seems like it's not really focused on gender. It might touch on it just a touch, but that's not the main drive here. You might say, you know what, let me hold on to it just for future reference, right? Just in case. Maybe read the first page and see if you like it. Okay, if that's the case, awesome. So what we'll do is we will download the file. Okay, don't just view it online, because if you view it online and they move it, or we no longer have access to it, guess what? You're out of a source. We don't want to do that, right? We want to make sure that we continue to access the material. Once you download it, it's on your hard drive, right? So we would just click full text here, and then we would click they've changed these icons, this little folder with the down arrow, right? And then you just save the file wherever it is you want. The only downside, you might want to rename it, because as you can see, this is titled document.pdf. Not super descriptive. So I'd recommend making a folder and then putting it in there, renaming it to make it make sense. All right, so I'm just going to click cancel here and then scoot back. But that's kind of the thing that you'll want to do. Use your keywords, play with them, use different combinations, and then look at the abstract and see a couple of things. If it tells you, like, so here's the author's information right at the top. You see the little superscript 1 that says that she is affiliated with Indiana University at Bloomington. right? So that's a step in the right direction for determining whether the source is scholarly, which is something that we have to do. All right, so let's say that, let me kind of go back to our search terms here, or our search here. Metrical charms, here we go. Complementary gender roles in Anglo-Saxon society, the relevance of Weefman and Wopenman to a plot summary of the Old English poem Beowulf. That doesn't seem super helpful. Okay, here we go. Re-examining the role of women in medieval literature, right? We're getting there. Beowulf is part of it. There's some other things as well. You might find that in your sources, so that's okay. It just means that you're focusing on the particular section that's dealing with your primary source, not just all of them, okay? So we can just see right off the bat that we don't have author affiliation here, so we'll have to do some digging, and that's totally okay. All right, let's see, there's no abstract. That kind of limits us a bit, but in the introduction to their book, New Readings on Women in Old English Literature, the authors explain how the continued and increasing interest in the presentations of what? This happens sometimes. So then you just have to open up the full text, and then, oh, hey, here's our abstract, right? So then you have the opportunity to read it. Now, say we read this abstract, we love it. This is going to be amazing. This seems to line up with what we are thinking, and being able to develop the ideas in there are really going to help your research. Cool. So what we're going to do is we are going to open up a Word document, because it's only smart to keep up with a Works Cited page as you go, right? And Galileo makes our citations for us, so might as well take advantage. All right, so you might say, Galileo makes citations for us? Yes, they do. So if you come over here and you click this little yellow page, okay, you'll see these citations come up. We scroll down because we need to cite in MLA 9th edition, so we are good. Let me grab this here, copy, pull over my Word doc. So now we have pasted our citation on here, right? So we are on the right track. What we need to do still is we still need to double space, okay? And we need to insert our hanging indent. So what we do is we right click with it highlighted, click paragraph, and then over here in this center area under special, we click hanging. All right, boom. Now we are good. You might want to throw Works Cited at the top here, so that way we have that and don't have to worry about it later, and then can just copy and paste this into our document. All right, so that's how you're going to use Galileo to create a Works Cited page, how to find your sources, right? Just remember, these sources have to be scholarly. You have to be able to justify how they're scholarly, and you have to be able to, show, like, if I ask you, like, hey, how does this source relate to your research question? You need to be able to tell me. Okay, so those are the big things. Don't be afraid to say, you know what, these sources aren't working. This source that I'm looking at is not going to work for my research question. There is a very small world, very minimal, like this will rarely ever happen, so it likely won't happen to you, that the first 6 sources on your Galileo list are actually sources that you use. So I don't want to see that. I want to see your Works Cited page that is thoughtfully, considered. I want your sources to be ones that make sense for your research question, and I want you, if I ask you, to say, oh yeah, it's related to my research question because of this. And guess what? That's a pretty large part of your annotated bibliography. So I will be asking you. All right, so if you have questions about that, please let me know. Otherwise, see you next time.